Good morning. This Sunday begins 3 Sundays in November with 3 Gospels that are all connected to each other. Today, we will have the Gospel story that Jesus tells of 2 groups of women. Next Sunday, we'll have another story that Jesus tells of 2 groups of servants. And finally, on the 3rd Sunday, we'll have this wonderful story that Jesus tells of 2 groups of people facing God's judgment at the end of the world. So this Sunday. Now remember, Jesus is where? Jesus is in Jerusalem. When? The last week of his life on earth before the crucifixion and resurrection. So Jesus is telling the people, I want you to think. I want you to think about a story. It happened, there was a group of 10 young women who are not married. And they're waiting for the groom to come for the wedding. Why? Because the Jewish custom was that the 10 young women would meet the groom, and then that group would lead the groom to the house of his bride. But Jesus says 10 women, but 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. The groom was delayed. Now the 10 women were supposed to be carrying lamps to lead the groom. That was a custom. Because the groom was delayed and the night was going on, the 10 fell asleep. And then there was the announcement, the groom's arriving. Now the 5 wise ones, they had been really careful with the oil that they had put in their lamps. The 5 that were foolish had ignored it, they had just left it. Well, now, the 5 wise, they got up and they lit their lamps and they're ready. And the 5 who were foolish said, wait, the oil ran out. We had just left it. Well, the 5 wise said, well, we can't help you. You're going to have to go and look to buy more oil. So the 5 foolish ones leave, and they're looking, trying to buy oil, but it's delayed. The groom arrives, the 5 wise welcome. They lead him to meet the bride. And then there's the party, the reception. But the door is closed. Now the 5 foolish people finally get oil, they light their lamps, and they come and they knock on the door and say, please, we're here. Let us into the party. And the person in the building goes, we don't know you. You're too late. What's Jesus' point? Jesus is saying to the people of his time, if you want to be in God's kingdom, then here on earth, in the world, you have to act in wise ways and not be just wasting time and wasting, your skills and wasting your life and doing nothing. Instead, you have to pay attention to God's message. You have to be wise and follow what God's trying to tell you. Second reading. St. Paul is writing to the Christian community in Thessalonica. Now, that letter, the first letter to the Thessalonians, actually, that's the earliest letter we have from St. Paul. He wrote that letter about the year 50 or 51 AD. What is St. Paul telling the early Christians? He says, be wise, be ready. Why? Because if you follow the Lord, if you do everything you're supposed to do, then you will live with the Lord. That's what he puts down in the letter. You and us will live with the Lord. So going back to St. Matthew, be wise, not foolish. Amen.